Hello, we're here. We are here. I'm just setting my phone down, making sure my hair looks like even like 5% acceptable. And wow, we already have 9 people here. So hello, Jeremy Morris. Saw the video. What drama? We shall get into it. I promise. Andrew Billman. I think. Oh yeah. Okay. Just talking to Jeremy. We got Blue Ranger. Hello, hello. Happy Toku's Day. I like that. Blue Ranger again. Bryn Paints. We got Dark Barcode Warrior. I said it slowly this time so I wouldn't get tongue twisted. Thank you all for watching. We have 16 people watching right now, which is pretty awesome. Andrew said we are here for the chaos. So, yes. So today I figured, I guess I'll be one of those streamers talk about the drama. Ranger NL, hello, welcome aboard. Well, first of all, for anyone who's watching, I would greatly appreciate it if you retweet the link on my Twitter to the stream because for whatever reason, I clicked the right button the first time. I didn't make myself a tiny circle, so good job. What was I saying? Every time you post a link in a tweet, it like just tanks the algorithm's interest in promoting that tweet. So yeah. Anyway, we also have Ryder. Hello. We have Mark, Adam, Lieta. What's up? What's up? What's up? So today, for the stream, we're going to do something I've never really done like ever. I mean, I've done reactions before to videos because like if you remember back in the days of the Lightning Collection, there was the whole whenever we had a fan first Tuesdays or fan first events of any kind or fan stream events, Comic Cons, all that kind of stuff. I would gather my friends together, my friend group from the fandom, and we would react to all the Lightning Collection news. So obviously I have done reactions like that before, but I've never done a reaction to like a non-live thing. And so I wanted to give that a shot today and kind of just see how that's going. So bold of you to assume Twitter has an algorithm and not just a bunch of monkeys at a typewriter. I mean, that is pretty true. That's pretty true. So, but yeah. Also, hello, Psycho O's. Hello, Caboose. What is up? What is up? Power Ranger. Hello. So basically what I want to do today is talk about a certain video that is making the rounds across the fandom. And I put out a tweet about this. Well, how many things have I posted and retweeted today? So actually this, not to like call out Max here, but this is kind of a pretty good summary of what's going on. So the YouTuber Austin McConnell, who I have his channel right here, posted a video yesterday about Super Sentai. And that threw me for a loop, I'll tell you, because right here, as the tweet says, wake up, guys, another big YouTuber discovered Tokusatsu for the first time. So essentially, here's what's going on, right? Let me set the stage, okay? So I was getting ready to go out to breakfast yesterday, and I'm checking YouTube as per usual, my subscriptions, and I see a video from Austin McConnell because I have been a subscriber of Austin McConnell since 2017. So I'm very familiar with his content. And it's one of those things where I'm trying to think of like another example of it, but or Blind Wave. That's a good example. Blind Wave, a reaction YouTube channel. They uploaded a video a couple weeks ago of the whole crew getting high and watching the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie together. And that was one of the things where I was like, whoa, a channel that I'm subscribed to, not for Power Ranger stuff, is doing something related to Power Rangers. And I was like, whoa. So seeing that from Austin McConnell, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to check this out. And I'm like, that sounds really cool. I think that's really sweet. But then the fandom found it. And as the fandom typically does, they exploded for no reason. So let me go ahead and preface this here. So as Psycho's saying, Austin uses AI from what I've been told. I think you are correct. Kind of, I wanted to set the framework here. I have not watched the video. I have explicitly not watched the video until now, so I could watch it on stream. We're going to watch the whole thing on stream. I'm not trying to be one of those streamers that actually adds commentary to it. And so I'm going to go to his oldest video, right? Because I started watching Austin McConnell in 2017 because of this video right here. I had gotten recommended this 1940s Monopoly video. I remember it very clearly because it was around the time, it was Christmas time of 2017 when the Last Jedi came out, right? And I found his channel and I was like, that's a kind of interesting topic I'm all about. And then I go in his backlog and there was a bunch of Star Wars videos. I was in a Star Wars mood, blah, 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 you know. And then we have like, this is one of my favorite videos on all of YouTube, this video about Perplex City, all this kind of stuff. I think this era of Austin McConnell, 2017 through like 2019, is like peak. However, since 2019, I have honestly barely watched his channel, and that's like, I'm not trying to say that there's like a diss towards him. There's a couple reasons for that. First of all, I know there's some videos that got posted about him doing like, or like tweets or whatever. I guess he's definitely a very religious person, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but I think he's done like religious like events and stuff like that, and that's not really for me. And then, as other people said, that people that he's used AI and stuff like that before, and I'm not about that at all or anything like that. The last time I watched a video from him, as you can see, because this is my personal YouTube that I used to watch YouTube. I don't watch YouTube on my Toku Topics channel. Last year, he had a stroke. And I was like, oh shit, you know, and I hadn't watched his videos in a long time. And so I've been kind of watching some of his videos, kind of just talking about that. But now we have this. We have this video. I watched Japanese Power Rangers. It's incredible. The thumbnail has Time Force / Time Ranger in it. And from what I can gather, the fandom is freaking out for two main reasons, or three main reasons, really. I think number one, it's that anyone who's, you know, big or whatever, I mean, he has a big channel, 1.4 million subscribers. Anyone who's big on the internet, when they do something related to Power Rangers, it kind of puts a spotlight. It kind of like it's like sends out a bat signal to the fandom to be like, what? I know Power Rangers, and then flock to it, right? Because I do the same thing. So I think that's the first reason. And then second of all, the title is the biggest thing that everyone's hated. I watched Japanese Power Rangers. It's incredible. Obviously, he's talking about Super Sentai, but he didn't call it Super Sentai. I am going to be honest. I could not possibly give less of a shit that the video title says that, because I have used the term Japanese Power Rangers to describe Super Sentai to literally every single person in my entire life who I didn't already knew what Sentai was. My parents, my ex, my sister, Keyshawn, my roommate from college, all of my college friends. Every single time I started an info dump about my special interest and would tell them what Sentai was, I would say Japanese Power Rangers to start. Or even Kamen Rider, I would say it's like Japanese Power Rangers. I know that's not right. It eats at my soul, but it's like, that's just the most mainstream way to approach it. So I don't care at all. Third thing that everyone's complaining about is, I guess there's a part in the video where he says that like Power Rangers is for kids, but Super Sentai is for teenagers. So it's like more extreme. And people were like, that's a stupid take. I guess my opinion on that take, without knowing the context of it within the video, is that like, it's like technically right. Like Sentai has a like older demographic than Power Rangers. But they're both still, you know, they're both still for 3-year-olds. So it doesn't really matter. But anyway, with all of that said, that's all the content, or that's all of the context leading up to it, or the background of what's going on. My like, you know, experience with his content, all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a reaction. Of course, video, so we're gonna stop there. I also want to ask if the audio is working, so please let me know if the audio is working. So we're gonna start a couple seconds here and tell me if you can hear the video. I'm also going to go ahead and share the link to the video in the chat, because I'm not about like stealing content and not crediting people. Can't hear shit. Awesome. All right, so let's go ahead and fix that somehow. I know that I can. Let's see, because I've been able to do that before. Yeah. No video, audio, settings, inputs, output. Not sure. If I stop the screen, share the screen, also share the audio, also share tab audio, that should probably do it.
Fight evil monsters inside of their giant robot. It was a cultural phenomenon.
Is it happening? Can you hear it? I just want to test it before I'm like, you know, watching 5 minutes into it and no one in the chat can hear it. I think that would be stupid. So Let's play a couple. Okay, yep, perfect, awesome. We are in business here. We can hear it. Let's go. All right. So, yeah, let's just give this a watch, and I'll keep pausing it and commentating as we go through. So here we go.
Phenomenon. Every weekday after school, I'd come home, plop myself in front of the old CRT television, crack open a can of Pepsi, and say,
because this is the kind of YouTube editing that I sort of
we were built different. It wasn't until later in my life that I learned the entire thing was a lie. The actual show was called Super Sentai, a Japanese television series that's been running since the 1970s. It's got wild stories, insane costumes, over-the-top villains, and robot battles galore. Power Rangers licensed the footage from Super Sentai.
Of course it probably is. Let me try to close a couple tabs and see if that helps. Because my internet is just what it is. And I can't really do too much about it. So let me try to close a couple tabs and see if that lag is real. No. Okay, I've closed a couple things. I don't really know what to do about the lag. I apologize if the lag is terrible. But that's even better reason. I'll lower the quality of the video. That's a good idea. But that's even better reason to be, as it is, because or what? It's even better reason to watch the original video in the link that I provided, because I'm not trying to replace his content. I'm trying to just, commentate on it. So anyway.
And then shot a bunch of low-budget filler with American.
Okay, this was another thing I know people were mad about, because his point is accurate, but I think people pointed out that this Super Sentai footage frame that he used was actually not Sentai footage, and it was either, I don't think it was Ranger footage. I think it was either Ranger footage or it was Ju2 footage, possibly, which is like Sentai footage. So I think I saw somebody complain about that. Like, this obviously is US footage for sure, but this might actually be Power Rangers footage too. but the point is still there. Like, the point that the Sentai footage is the Ranger suits and the fights, and the US footage is everything else. That is like the point is accurate. It's just, I think, yeah, Jeremy, people need to take a chill pill. I know. Right? Like, all right. Anyway.
Actors on a soundstage that they then mashed together to make a new show. And wouldn't you know it, it became a massive success. Imagine having one of the most popular shows in the entire country, and you don't even have to film most of it. Minimal effort, maximum profit. Welcome to America, baby.
That might be why Power Rangers is one of my favorite things ever, because I feel like I can just relate on a spiritual level of, like, it's like peak success with the most possible, like, it is like the peak success that you can have by doing the least amount of work possible. It is such a lazy production, but I love that. Like, it is so up my alley with that kind of shit. And it's one of those things where discovering what, everyone has their story of, like, how they discovered Power Rangers, or how they discovered Super Sentai from Power Rangers, right? Like, my story is that I learned what Sentai was when I was looking for Power Rangers toys on eBay when Samurai was airing, and got a listing for a Shinken Blue Ranger key. And I'm like, that's not a Shinken Blue, that's a Samurai Blue. Plus, what is this thing? Because Super Mega Force hadn't existed at the time yet, so I was like, what's a Ranger key? What could that be, right? So that's, everyone has their I discovered Super Sentai moment. And I'm very interested here, just in the premise of this video, that obviously we'll get to it, that Time Ranger is what he ended up gravitating towards. And I find that incredibly fascinating, because you have videos like the Angry Video Game Nerd or whatever, right? His video on the was it the Power Rangers? Was it the Power Rangers video game where he, does the iconic clip where he's like, Jureja, Densetsu no Senshitachio, that clip. I love that one. And like, that was like, that's what I think, like, most people who discover Sentai are like, there's this show called Ranger, and there's like no other substance to it than that. So to see a big YouTuber talk about Time Ranger, like, I think that's pretty cool, actually. Yeah.
For most of my childhood, I was obsessed with Power Rangers. I bought the toys, I attended the events, I took karate lessons, I was going to be a Power Ranger. And at the turn of the millennium, just before I grew out of it, Saban Entertainment dropped Power Rangers Time Force, which to me was the culmination of
Time Force was one of his final seasons growing up, so that's why he's gonna go into time. Okay, I see.
Things cool. The stakes felt higher, the story darker. The show up to that point had really just been teenagers in spandex shouting one-liners before blowing up goofy monsters. But the concept of this season was on a whole different level. In fact, to this day, Time Force is considered by many to be far and away the best season of the entire show, which thus...
Okay. I disagree with that statement, but it's not an inaccurate statement. It's not. It's definitely not the most popular or like best entry in the show. Most popular entry of the show is and forever will be Mighty Morphin. That's just how it is. My personal favorite entry in the show is Dino Thunder. I feel like a lot of people are going to argue that the best entry is something in the Disney era, whether it's Dino Thunder or SPD or RPM. Which are my top 3 favorites. If I had to put like a top 5, it would be probably those, and then also Time Force and In Space probably would be my order of it. So I don't disagree with the statement that Time Force is one of the best ones, but I do disagree with it being considered like the best one, as he just said.
Far has extended to 30 different editions and even 3
hold on
show, which thus far has extended to
he had wait
different
he had the 2010 logo in there too. All right, I appreciate that.
Editions and
as the super seasons too.
3
okay, yeah, that's all of them.
Theatrically released films. Nice. But I am here today to tell you that Power Rangers Time Force doesn't even hold a candle to the Japanese show that it borrows from. Last year, while I was stuck in bed for reasons, I took the time to watch every single episode of Mirai Sentai Time Ranger. And let me tell you,
Booking.com has all kinds of stays.
I'm so sick of this ad, let me tell you. And yes, I know I should just get YouTube Premium. I get this ad like every fucking day, whether it's this one or it's the one with like the Muppets in it, which at least has the Muppets in it. But then Miss Piggy starts talking, and I want to like scream because there's not enough Kermit in the ad. It's incredibly annoying. Anywho,
it's pretty good. How were we robbed of such an incredible show? First thing to understand is that Power Rangers in the United States is squarely aimed at kids. Think
here's the very controversial take.
Its storytelling is simple, the humor and themes are all tailored to be acceptable for children, with a strong emphasis on goofy action, promoting teamwork, and teaching simple life lessons.
Let's see. So my experience of Time Force, so if anyone has been following my stuff for a while, you might remember my hashtag Josh PR Watch 2019 thread, in which I said I'm going to watch every episode of every season of Power Rangers by the end of 2019. That did not happen, but I did get up to I did get up to Time Force in 2019. And then by the end of, and then I'm still technically in that watch thread. I did get far. No, Caboose, I did. Not in 2019, but I got all the way up to Dino Charge. And then stopped for the last, like, I think literally 2 years. I got up to Dino Charge just 22 seasons in out of 30. And to this day, the only seasons that I have not finished in its entirety are Supercharge, both Ninja Steels. Actually, wait. Everything between Supercharge and Cosmic Fury, I have not actually finished. I've just seen bits and pieces of each of them. And the Cosmic Fury, I've seen all of, because although I've only ever seen it all once, I binged it in one sitting at one time in a legendary time that I can't discuss. But it was a legendary time where I binged all 10 episodes of Cosmic Fury in one night, and I have not gone back to it since. Andrew said, Jane, how far are you in Gabu? Okay, that's not true, though. The only way I watch something is one of 2 ways. Either, yes, like you said, bolted into the ground. Or no, 3 ways. One is bolted into the ground. 2 is high as shit. as I watched Go Juju last night when I was super high, and episode 3 really, really hit while I was high. And number 3 is if I'm watching it with people. If I'm not watching, if I'm like gonna watch it by myself, it's not happening. But as to answer your question, I'm 12 episodes into Gabu, and I have not watched it since then. But I've been watching it through Twitter, as I mentioned in my last stream, so I know everything that's going on. But anyway, back to the video.
Super Sentai, on the other hand, is designed for teens. While it's still family-friendly to an extent, it's
That was the controversial take.
not afraid to tackle darker and more complex narratives, delving into weighty topics like loss, betrayal, sacrifice,
I feel like
even existential.
I feel like one reason, and maybe this is where it comes from, that what? I lost my thought because I saw Power Rangers comment and I just like completely like it went gone. I feel like one of the reasons why this take is maybe so unpopular is that I think if you were trying to do a video comparing a Power Ranger season to a Sentai season or to its counterpart, and your take is that Power Rangers is for kids and Sentai is not, and then your argument is used with Time Ranger, I feel like that's not the best example because Time Ranger and Time Force are very similar shows. In both tone and in plots, for sure. Even we didn't go as far as Time Ranger. We were supposed to. I know there was like plans for them to kill Eric in the finale of Time Force, like they did when they killed Time Flyer in Time Ranger and that kind of thing. So like, and in other ways, I feel like Time Force is darker than Time Ranger. Like Rancic is everything with Rancic is a very dark Power Rangers story. One of my all-time favorite characters in the franchise. Another thing for Time Force, not really in terms of dark, but everything related to Wes's father with Mr. Collins is one of the most emotionally compelling things that I think Power Rangers has ever done. Now, I'll be honest, I have not technically like seen Time Ranger. I have the Shot Factory DVD. I haven't actually like sat down and like watched Time Force or Time Ranger. It's one of the Sentais that I have not seen in its entirety. So I can't necessarily fully speak on it, what it does compared to Time Force, but I feel like it's like if I guess Austin's argument I feel would be less controversial if he was comparing like probably like trying to think of a good example. Like, see, a really funny opposite example would be RPM and Go Onger. Like RPM, like his argument, if we plugged in RPM and Go Onger, would be completely flipped around. He would probably be like, RPM is for kids. No, RPM is for teens, and Go Onger is for kids. You know, that kind of thing. I feel like that's like. I'm trying to think of an example that would be more applicable to his present argument. At the same time, saying all this, I don't care. Like, I don't care at all. I do not care, like, if he thinks that Time Ranger is darker and more mature and for older audience than Time Force. Sure. Who cares? Anyone can watch either of these shows. It does not matter. Like I said, I haven't seen Time Ranger. Yeah, I said it correctly. I don't care to. I'm fine with Time Force. I like Time Force a lot, and I'm not really that interested in Time Ranger, to be honest. Nothing wrong with that. Anyway.
Questions. Time Ranger focuses on subjects like fate, death, even the ethical dilemmas of law enforcement.
So does Time Force, but yeah.
Far more sophisticated than its American equivalent. Time Ranger doesn't reset to everything's fine at the end of each episode.
Well,
actions have consequences. Characters grow. The battles are intense and leave scars, emotional, and sometimes.
I mean, everything in Time Force continue. Like Time Force has, like, but Sentai does that too. Like every Tokusatsu show resets things at the end of each episode for the status quo. That's just how this works. But like, and like, you know, it has the whole happy ending thing, right? It's just Power Rangers has the more like they're both incredibly formulaic shows for sure, which is why I find watching either of them when I'm not like binging them or watching them in like chunks where it kind of cuts out a lot of that kind of stuff, or cuts out sort of the more episodic aspects of them and focuses more on the serialized aspect. Like this is going to be a controversial take, I suppose, but like up until the 2019 watch that I was trying to do of the franchise, I had not seen a majority of the seasons, and my only knowledge of their plot lines were from years and years of watching Linkara's History of Power Rangers. So I feel like, and that's going to be a controversial take because people have problems about like Linkara's opinions being like the gold standard opinions for every season of Power Rangers. And I understand that. And so for the longest time, like my opinions on each season were Linkara's opinions on each season. And I hadn't really formed my own, and I wanted to change that. So that's kind of like, you know, I don't know. It's just thoughts that I've been having here with this video. Maybe I'm completely going off topic or whatever, but also I am looking at the chat. I'm just not like reading every single thing out loud because it would be here forever if I did that. But anyway.
Times literal. Its storytelling has stakes, and it doesn't condescend to its audience. Japanese media for kids at this time tended to be more willing to explore serious themes, trusting children and teenagers watching to process more complex stories. Now, to be fair, Power Rangers Time Force came out in 2001.
To make everybody feel old in the chat, Power Rangers Time Force was the season airing when I was born. I was born in 2001.
And America was going through some stuff. But in the year 2000, Japan
2001.
was focused on
2001, quite a year. Shrek, 9/11, my birth.
on the potential of the new millennium. And so its showrunners tapped into cultural sentiment by exploring the future. Imagine this. It's the year 3000. As a result of immense technological advancements in the 30th century, scientists of this era pushed the boundaries of physics and engineering, successfully learning to manipulate the space-time continuum. With full-on time travel now possible, the authorities create the Time Protection Bureau to monitor and regulate its use, preventing the tech from being exploited for personal or criminal purposes. This agency acts as a kind of time police, arresting those who attempt to disrupt history. Violators are sent to a futuristic penitentiary and freeze compressed as punishment for their crime.
I wanted to do that. Back when I did my Power Month series that I like got depressed and failed doing back in 2023, where I wanted to do 30 videos for every season of Power Rangers. I wanted to make one of those freeze container things from a Rancic figure. And I bought, I'm getting confused. I wanted to buy a container like that for a Lothar figure because I wanted to replicate the jar that Mesagog put Lothar in the crossover. And like canonically, that's like Lothar like died in a jar at the end of Dino Thunder. I bought a Lothar figure and everything. I just never got around to doing that. But anywho,
when our story begins, Captain Ryuya of the Time Bureau briefs a new batch of Time Ranger recruits. Simultaneously, a high-status prisoner transfer begins at the facility.
See, Time
a
Force
new
is also
group of
cool
criminals
because
are being brought in.
I really like that Time Force has been elaborated on with the comics and with Hyperforce. Like, I adore Time Force Silver. Time Force Silver would have been one of the main figures that I would have wanted from the Lightning Collection the most. I desperately want some sort of action figure of Time Force Silver and Time Force Black. I think that is super, super, super cool that we did that. But it has nothing to do with Time Ranger. Gluto here. I'm very familiar with Gluto for Time Force because I used to love playing. I never beat it. I was not good at it, but I always loved playing Power Rangers Super Legends on the DS. And Gluto was a boss in that game.
Freeze compression, including mob boss Don Del Nero, the leader of a crime family called the Launders. It's a play on money laundering. Get it? At long last, he's set to face justice. Except surprise, it's a trap set by the Launders family to get behind enemy lines and steal a time jet. Realizing the police have superior forces and firepower in this era, they plan to travel back 1,000 years and wreak havoc on an unsuspecting planet. Captain Ryuya selects a handful of recruits to chase the Launders back to
why
the
I
year
was gravitated to his channel. It's one of those. This is one of those YouTubers where like I could just turn on his videos for hours while I'm drawing or playing Sudoku or sleeping or something. And like this is my kind of. I've always wanted to make YouTube videos like this, but for like that's what Toku Topics is always. I've always wanted it to be something like that.
2000 and apprehend them. Let's meet the team. We've got 5 colors: pink, yellow, blue, green, and red. Time Pink is a girl named Yuri, a no-nonsense leader who works as a member of the anti-mafia division of Intercity Police. Time Yellow is Domon. He's the big, goofy, comic relief jock. Time Blue is Ayase, a total dreamboat former race car driver. Time Green is Shion, who is an alien. He's the youngest guy on the team, but
he also frustrates me because Time Green, his damn Ranger key is so fucking expensive. I need to get it, and it is so expensive.
Has a heart of gold, as well as mysterious special powers, which leaves Time Red, originally intended to be Captain Ryuya. A Launders scheme leaves him back in the future and unable to join the party. The Big Baddies also managed to blow up our hero's ship shortly after their arrival in the past, leaving the good guys with no way back home. Luckily, the ship's pilot, Tak, an adorable futuristic Furby, manages to survive the blast, and he provides the team with chrono changers, which allow them to transform. But there's a problem. The chrono changers are hard-coded to each officer's DNA, and all 5 need to be unlocked together. Without the captain, they're useless. No worries, though, who should stumble upon the Rangers' crash site but Tatsuya Asami, a privileged yet aimless trust fund kid whose life is going nowhere fast. Living in the shadow of his wealthy, controlling father, Tatsuya spends his days coasting through life, unsure of what he wants or who he's meant to be. It just so happens that Tatsuya is the near mirror image of the captain, no doubt his distant ancestor. How convenient. Team leader Yuri, however, is none too quick to seek the help of a civilian for such a serious mission. Tatsuya might have the DNA match they need, but in her eyes, he lacks the discipline and experience required for the job. But it looks like she doesn't have much of a choice. The Launders family has wasted no time in wreaking havoc. Within hours of their arrival in the year 2000, they're already causing chaos, leaving destruction in their wake and putting innocent lives in danger. So who are the baddies behind all the mayhem? Let's meet the villains. The top fish, Don Del Nero, is all about the Benjamins. Back in the 30th century, he was one of the most notorious crime bosses around, running a massive empire. Now that he's unsuspecting past, his sole focus is on finding new schemes.
Never really done a reaction thing
whether
like
it's
that
through
before.
Scams,
So
smuggling, or shaking down the locals. Del Nero is
I wonder
always
what kind
chasing
of
the
world we
next
would live in
big
if
score.
Gluto was the
By
main
his
villain.
side is Lila, his cunning and
That would have been
flirtatious
interesting.
partner in crime.
Rancic is
She's
one
as
of the best
dangerous
villains
as
we've
she
ever
is
had, and I
glamorous,
would've,
with a love for jewels, money,
I would have
and the
been
thrill of the
very
game.
curious to
Unlike
see
her
how we
sugar
would have
daddy,
had
who's more of a
how we were
behind-the-scenes
gonna have
kind of
Gluto,
guy,
if we would have
Lila
had Gluto as
prefers to be
the
out
main
on the
antagonist.
streets, putting the family's plans
Is that a
into
good enough
action
volume?
and
Can you guys
stirring
still
up
hear
all
the
kinds of
video?
trouble. And then
or not?
there's Gien, the
So I can turn it
wild
up like a
card of
tiny
the
bit
group,
more. I didn't
a
want to turn it
brilliant
too
yet
high.
unhinged cyborg. Gien has a thirst for chaos and destruction that goes beyond greed. He's got his sights set on
See,
nothing
Rax would have
less
been-
than
actually,
total
any of the Time
world
Force villains
domination.
would have
Able to
been
build
really
killer
cool, like,
minion
Clash of
robots
Figures.
from nuts and bolts. He's always
bad
cooking up
that,
devastating weapons
Time
and
Force, like, Clash of
machines
Figures
to
were
keep
handled
Time
so
Rangers
terrible.
on the defensive. The dastardly trio has managed
I've
to
always
escape
wanted
to
a
the
Rax
past with
figure. I've
an
always wanted a
entire
Rancid
vault
figure.
of frozen monsters at their disposal, and it's up to our heroes to capture each villain
Oh, good,
one
the bounce
by
back.
one.
Well,
And
thank you
then
guys for telling me
return
that.
to the
I
future.
did not mean
Let's
for it
talk
to
about
be
the stuff
so
that's
terrible
cool.
for 35
Number
minutes. It
one,
was really
the
bad.
theme song.
Oh, that time is good. I always like this theme song.
what the young kids call a banger. The stunts. This is where Super Sentai shows excel. There's actually a name for this genre in Japan. It's
Oh, why did I highlight that comment? Anyway, that got me. That was good.
called tokusatsu,
Yeah.
which roughly translates to
Special-
special effects, live-action shows or movies that focus on practical effects, elaborate costumes, and stunts. Each episode
Tokusatsu,
focuses
he's
on
explaining
high-energy
it.
martial arts,
That's
wirework,
the thing, that's
flashy
the thing I
explosions,
like.
and of course, each episode
That's what-
ends
that's
with a
what my
giant
channel's
robot
called.
fight. Speaking of which, the monsters of the show are a special treat. There's always a new lackey to deal with every episode, and in
He
spite
gets
of the
it.
formula,
He
it
gets-
never
he
gets
gets the
old or
appeal,
feels stale.
sure. I
Every
mean,
baddie
obviously,
has a unique hook
the fucking
and
video is
fighting
called I Watch
style with
Japanese
a
Power
lot of
Rangers. It's
standouts that you
incredible.
wish you could see more of. I'm also a huge fan of the show's visual effects. You see, we get these brief glimpses into
Fair.
the year 3000 throughout the show, and these moments
Yeah,
are to me
nothing has
fascinating.
a
Super Sentai
nothing
is,
has the
by
charm of
all accounts,
Tokusatsu,
a
that's for sure, of
low-budget
just being
TV show,
so
and seeing how the creative team chose
unapologetically
to
what
pull
it
off
is
these
with the
sequences
budget that
is
it is. And
truly
I love that
inspiring.
for it.
There's a sort of charm to
It's
the
always been
cheap
that way. It
CGI,
will
the
be that
miniature
way.
stop motion,
That's
the
why I'm not
ambitious
very on
compositing.
board with the
They're trying
idea
stuff here that,
like
for
an
the time
anime,
and the industry
of
and the budget,
an
looks
anime Power
great.
Rangers.
By far,
Animated
the
Power
two
Rangers,
characters
because
that
I just think
totally
you
steal
lose
the
a lot
show
of the
are the Dawn
charm
and
if you
Gien.
animate
It
it.
is an absolute travesty what the American version did to these roles, reducing them to
Okay.
one-dimensional caricatures.
Okay,
I
Gluto's fine. If you like really liked Gluto and Time Ranger, I know he said the name. I'm never gonna remember the name of Gluto and Time Ranger, so I'm just gonna keep calling him that, so you know who I'm talking about. Oh wait, no, Launderers. Well, that's the villain name. But anyway, like okay, fine. Like Gluto, they dumbed him down to just be a comic relief character in Time Force. Maybe if you were a Time Ranger fan, you would hate that. Just call him the Dawn, Paint said. So okay, so he's Don Momotaro. But no, but so like fine. If you like really liked that character in Time Ranger, maybe you probably hated his Time Force version since he's just a comic relief dumb dude that is in like barely. I mean, Gluto's not important to Time Ranger, Time Force like at all. He's not in it very much. Frax on the other hand, I vehemently disagree with. Not, I guess I will say without fully knowing, like I'm not fully aware of just I changed my name. Jeremy changed it to #1 Japanese Power Ranger fan. But oh my god. Like I'm not 100% familiar with Rax's storyline from Time Ranger, so I'm not sure how much we took from that. So a lot of what I really like from Rax as a character very well could not be Time Force original, but if it is, then I would say that I very much like his Time Force counterpart over his Time Ranger counterpart. But we'll see if Austin says anything about that.
Time Rangers, Don Del Nero is a layered character.
Don Del
Beneath
Nero.
the greedy and gruff cigar-smoking mob boss is a complex leader who genuinely cares.
So I feel like
for his
Nadira is
crew.
pretty much
He's
the
a
same
deeply
in each show. I just
flawed,
get that
but
vibe.
strangely
She's pretty much the
endearing
exact same in both
presence
shows.
in the show, with laugh-out-loud moments and even shocking turns at villainy. Power Rangers Time Force, by contrast, turns him into a wimpy, useless lackey
Right.
that only hangs around in the background for occasional toilet
Yeah, because
humor
it's not
comic
like
relief.
he says that like Gluto is still the main villain of Time Force, though. Like that's how he just framed that argument. Like, huh.
Surprise, it's me, Gluto, your secret admirer.
Ugh, what a waste. I get it though. He smokes. You can't show that on kids' TV. Likewise, Gien. In the US
Guess
show,
that is why we
he's
did
just
that, yeah.
generic bad guy robot. But in Mirai Sentai,
he's not.
he is a truly tragic character with
He is
a
in Time Force,
shocking
too.
backstory who slowly descends into madness as
Exactly the
he
same thing with Time
embraces
Force, too. In fact,
destructive
that's why I'm. That's another reason why I'm not sure, like, if the Time Force aspects of his character were pulled more from Time Ranger, because, like, a lot of Vrax's backstory, I keep almost accidentally saying Vrock from Megaforce. Frax, I know who I'm talking about. Like, a lot of his backstory is connected to Rancic, and since Rancic didn't exist in the Sentai, am not 100% sure if their backstories are so similar, but I just assumed that they probably are, because basically, like, Rancic essentially seems to basically be Gluto's character from the Dawn character from the Sentai, and we just made Gluto into the comic relief because Time Ranger didn't really have that in the villains. I guess Nadira's counterpart would probably be the closest, or maybe Vrax is a little bit, but
urges that are
hurting
genuinely
to say.
chilling to watch. Time Rangers as a whole succeeds because of its compelling characters. One of the downsides of the American adaptation's younger target audience is its hesitancy and often downright refusal to give characters real complexity. But the original show
But it
has
does,
it in
though.
spades.
Time Force gives it a lot of make American Sentai great again. That's funny, but I can't. We can't be saying that.
You see, with 51 episodes, a video special, and a crossover movie, Mirai Sentai Time Ranger has the
Saga?
space to
Is that how
fully
that would be
develop
said?
its world, its lore, and most importantly, its characters. Each member of the team has a compelling backstory, unique motivations, and a personal journey that
So does Time Force.
unfolds
I mean, we
over
have
the course of
character-focused
the whole
episodes for all of
series.
them.
It's not just
I will say for Time Force, like Lucas is the only character of the Time Force cast I genuinely don't like. I've never liked his character. Trip was fun. He was probably like my second least favorite, if that's a thing. Then I really liked Katie's story, and then I guess unpopular opinion that most people, Jen is their favorite character of Time Force, and she's not my favorite character of Time Force. I don't know who is, but I know that my top 4 favorite characters in Time Force, in no particular order, would be Rancic, Wes, Eric, and Mr. Collins. Where Jen fits in after that, like right after that. But because I don't know what order I would put the 4 of them, but yeah.
About the action or the flashy visual sequences. It's about watching these characters grow, struggle, and find their purpose. And Time Ranger
That's a good point, Falcon Sec. As far as I recall, he said that the Time Force was the last season he watched, like when he was a kid, and watched Time Ranger for the first time when he was recovering from his stroke last year. But I don't think he said he rewatched Time Force. We do still have 7 minutes left of this video, so maybe he did. But it does not. That's a very good point. It does seem like he watched Time Ranger and is just going off of his memory of Time Force. Maybe he rewatched some clips or like the first episode or something again. But it does not seem like he's watched Time Force since he was a kid. And a lot of what he likes from Time Ranger, it seems like he just doesn't remember that Time Force also did the exact same thing. So
delivers that in a way that few shows of its kind manage to actually
that's
achieve.
A good point. Thank you
As
for
the
bringing that up,
series
Falcon.
unfolds, we learn more
glad you
and
said
more
that.
about what drives each team member. Take Yuri. Turns out the whole reason she became a cop was because her family was brutally murdered by a hitman working for the Dawn. Her relentless pursuit of
so
justice and ultimately
that's a little different from
vengeance
Jen's. Obviously, a lot of
her
Jen's
driving force
stems
throughout
from
the show to the point
her
where
drive to
it
bring
consumes
Rancic in
her.
and stuff
Yuri's
like that.
arc is about
do
the
so
fine line between
because they just
justice
they're not going to
and
make it as
revenge,
dark of a
making
thing
her
where they're
one
like,
of the
yeah,
most compelling
this villain
characters
killed
in the
this
series.
entire Rangers
Then there's
family.
Domo,
Although we do
who
have things
starts
like that
off
with
as
like Cole and his parents and Master Org and stuff like that. So
team's
done it.
comedic muscle, but quickly proves to be so much more. A former mixed martial arts prize fighter, he's soon torn between 2 worlds. His life as a celebrated athlete in the year 3000, or his new life as a nobody in the year 2000, but where he experiences his
I'm seeing
first
everyone
real
in the chat talk about what Power Ranger is saying and everyone else. And I do want to just say Power Ranger because I feel like, I don't want people to like dogpile you for your opinions. And I'm not saying that chat's doing that because I don't think that they are. I think that everyone is in the chat bringing up really good points right now, honestly. And I made sure to keep live chat a chat replay on this stream, so that way anyone who's watching this afterward can actually see the chat. Because I don't know how to put the chat up on the screen in StreamYard. I'm sure there's a way to do it, but not the point. You're right, 15%, only 15% of Ninja Steel was Sentai footage. Absolutely. Every Sentai and Power Ranger season has that different balance of, Sentai to Power Rangers in terms of its originality and its relation to the stories and such like that. Like, once again, RPM and Go Onger is probably one of like the most differing things you could possibly be in terms of the show. Like anyone who says RPM and Go Onger are the same show, that's just vehemently not true. Like, it's just not. But something like Time Ranger and Time Force, focusing only on that, not focusing on Power Rangers and Super Sentai as a whole, because yes, they are the same, but they are different shows. But focusing on individual seasons, comparing those together, his video explicitly and only is comparing Time Force to Time Ranger, and that's not a great comparison for the argument that he's making. It's just I don't know if that, like, what I'm trying to say is that you're not wrong, Power Ranger. You're not. That that, like, there are differences between the shows and stuff like that, and that they're not the same. And that is the case a lot of times, but it's not always the case. I mean, think of something like Shinkenger and Samurai, right? Literally because of the rush production that Samurai had. You can go and watch Samurai episodes right now. The Samurai episodes literally, like, they have like original Japanese script written by as credits in the episode. No other Power Ranger season has that, and that's because literally it's like you plugged Shinkenger into Google Translate, whitewashed the cast, and farted out a Power Ranger season, because that's basically what the hell happened. So, but for something like Time Force and Time Ranger, that's not what happened. They took the framework from Time Ranger, they took the characters from Time Ranger, and they used most of it, but they still did original things. Eric doesn't die at the end of the show. Rancic didn't exist in Time Ranger. That Mr. Collins, everything with him, like, didn't exist in Time Ranger, or at least, like, in that kind of way. I mean, similar ways, and stuff like that. But, like, we changed a lot of things. And, of course, all this kind of stuff. Katie didn't leave a kid in the past. You know what? Big thing. Katie's female. That's a completely different thing to Time Yellow and, Time Yellow and Time Force Yellow are completely different genders. So, yeah, there's a lot of differences between the two shows for sure. But, like, at a fundamental level, at least in this particular case, they're basically the same show. So saying that, like, one is drastically more darker or mature than the other, or not drastically, that's maybe a little harsh, but saying that one is darker than the other is just not really accurate in this case. But not every time.
Chance at finding true love. His story is a heartfelt exploration of growth and learning what truly matters in life. Ayase, Time Blue, hides a life-threatening heart condition from his teammates and is haunted by mistakes
I did not
in
know
his
about that.
former life as a street racer.
Time Blue. Actually, I didn't know that.
Mr. Alien,
Lucas definitely didn't have that.
despite his cheerful demeanor, struggles
Kronos. I liked Kronos on the shipping container.
to connect with others and address the trauma of being the last survivor of his home planet and overshadowing the entire.
Okay. So, now knowing a little bit more context with the Time Ranger characters, I can understand the argument in some regard. In relation to the Time Ranger characters might have slightly darker backstories, but still like Trip, right? Like, he just talked about Time Green. So, like, Trip, I don't think he was and maybe my memory's wrong, he wasn't the last survivor of his race, but he was sort of ostracized because of him being an alien in the future compared to everybody else. He was thought as weird and all that kind of stuff, So, which is still like a, complicated, like, character thing, right? Character trait and thing to talk about. So, maybe not as dark as Time Rangers, but it's still like a mature theme, right? So, Caboose said, I'm way too autistic to give up on this. And I'm way too autistic to not be interested in talking about this. So I get you.
Entire series is Tatsuya and his fraught relationship with his father. As the son of a powerful industrialist, Tatsuya
So,
is
yeah, Mr.
expected
Collins
to
is very similar
inherit
to
a
Tatsuya's
family
father.
business, but he rebels against his father's
And Wes is
rigid
very similar to
control,
Tatsuya.
seeking to carve out his own destiny. His leadership as Time
None
Red
of
is
100% the
as
same.
much about defying the future that has been set out for him as it is about saving the timeline itself. What makes Time Rangers exceptional is how all these side stories weave seamlessly throughout the series, creating this
I mean,
slow
Time
burn,
Force is the same way.
character-driven narrative that still feels like a fast-paced weekly action show full of battles and bad guys.
Mhm.
Look past the usual trappings of the genre, and it's a journey through the lives of its characters, each of whom brings their own struggles.
Another thing
and
about this argument that I'm curious about, and we have 5 minutes left of the video, so maybe he'll say that he has. I feel like he hasn't watched any other Sentai but Time Ranger, and I feel like that's kind of important for the argument that he's trying to make specifically. That I feel like he should have watched like another like. I know he said he stopped watching Power Rangers at like Time Force, so like maybe like he should have done like I don't know what his favorite season was explicitly. Maybe I think it was Time Force, right, based off of that. But like if he really liked In Space, for example, he should probably like check out Mega Ranger and see if his opinion still stands. That kind of thing. Just my 2 cents on that.
growth to the table. Standout installments include episode 11, Deathmatch City, where a monster places a nearby town under hypnosis and forces everyone into a violent battle royale that the Rangers must stop. A local journalist that gets rescued touches off a love triangle subplot that manages to keep you glued to the screen the rest of the series. Then there's episode 13, Battle Casino, takes the Rangers deep into the city's seedy criminal underworld. 18, 19, and 20 is basically this
It also has been a while since I watched Time Force. So I can't remember if we adapted that story. Is that the Time Shadow story arc? Because that seems like a fun Time Ranger episode.
epic 3-part movie where the Rangers realize that their presence in
Hold
the
on, wait. Let me go back. Let me backtrack.
seedy criminal underworld. 18, 19, and 20 is basically this epic
18,
3-part
19, okay.
movie where the
So that's the like debut around the debut of Time Fire, if I remember correctly, right?
Rangers realize that their presence in the past may very well be altering the
Or
course
around
of
that. It's not,
history.
yeah.
28, 29, and 30 likewise
Yep.
crank up the
That was
stakes and introduce Naoto, the 6th Ranger, or as he is known on the streets, I love it. I cannot get enough of that. Episode 32
I'm with you there.
is a total heartbreaker that flips the standard Monster of the Week formula totally on its head. Instead of facing a typical rampaging villain, the Time Rangers encounter a monster who doesn't want to fight at all.
Remember that episode
This
of Time
creature,
Force?
thawed out and forced into
also-
action
we
by
adapted
the
this one.
Launders family, is genuinely remorseful for its past
actually one of my
crimes
favorite Time
and
Force
seeks
episodes.
nothing more than a chance to start over. The Rangers are divided, and the audience grapples
It's
with
actually also, well, I was gonna say one of my favorite Power Rangers episodes in general, but that's probably not true. But it's probably one of my favorite Time Force episodes for sure. Is the one he was just talking about for the Time Ranger version.
the question of forgiveness and even the rigidity of the criminal justice system. It's weirdly compelling stuff. By episode 40, Ayase's secret heart condition reaches a tipping point, and he must choose between whether to spend his last few months in peace or fighting alongside his friends. Tatsuya and Yuri face their feelings for each other. Even Tak gets his own emotional tearjerker side arc.
Every time I see this robot now, Circuit, I forget who said it. But somebody asked when the Heritage auction was going on for Power Rangers, Circuit was not part of the auction lots. So what happened to him? What happened to the prop of him? Did it go back to Toei? Is it gone? What happened to Circuit? I need to know.
The final collection of episodes is a masterclass in payoff, with these dense and intense conclusions to every character arc carefully set up throughout the series. Both the Rangers and the villains are forced to confront the choices that they have made throughout the show, and every decision carries weight, rippling through the narrative with consequences that feel earned. For the Rangers, it's a reckoning of their
Also, every time I think of Time Ranger, I just think of the Gokaiger tribute arc for Time Ranger, because it's one of my favorites. I adore how they connected back to the Gokaiger's cameo in Goseiger versus Shinkenger. I think it's so cool how they explain why Gokai Silver isn't there, which I guess you could now just say that Gokai Silver is always hanging out at some temple with Ninja Man and will never be seen again because Gokai Silver found dead in Miami, you know?
Personal struggles and their growth as a team. Tatsuya must finally face his father and the future that he's been running from. Yuri confronts the depth of her desire for vengeance and what it may ultimately cost her. Ayase grapples with his own mortality. Domon and his longing for love. Shion with his search for a homeland. Even the villains aren't left out. Everyone has a stake and nobody emerges unchanged. And by the time the final credits roll, you'll find yourself thinking, what? That was stupidly good for a low-budget, weekly Japanese kids show about stunt guys in spandex
That's what it's
fighting
all about.
stunt guys in rubber suits. Because
What that was shockingly good is probably one of the best reactions I could think of for somebody who is not familiar with Super Sentai or Comrade or anything Tokusatsu. If somebody said, if I showed someone who's never seen any of this shit an episode of Sentai or Rider or whatever, or even Power Rangers if they hadn't seen Power Rangers and didn't know what to expect with it, and they said, wow, that was shockingly good, that's pretty good praise, in my opinion.
because somehow Time Ranger transcends the typical tokusatsu trappings and delivers a gut punch of an ending that's not just satisfying, but cements it as one of
so
the
does
best
Time Force.
entries in the
Time Force was literally supposed to get a theatrical movie off of it. It was that, like, compelling or good or whatever.
entire Super Sentai franchise. So yeah, if you're a Power Rangers fan and you want to see what its source material is capable of, or you're an anime fan wanting to see what it would look like if that style of storytelling was done like in live action.
Okay, now that is a great take. I've always said that. And I'm not much of an anime watcher. I never have been. I never have been. I am kind of now. Like, I love Demon Slayer. I love My Hero Academia. I love Jujutsu Kaisen, that kind of stuff. I've watched a couple others here and there. Bochi the Rock, Mob Psycho 100, that kind of stuff. So, but I'm not like the biggest anime fan compared to like Tokusatsu, right? And one thing I have always picked up on, and also is why I'm gravitated towards it as well, is that Tokusatsu storytelling is very much like anime storytelling, but in live action. And I really like anime storytelling. But I watched Tokusatsu first, so I am more drawn and like watching Tokusatsu more than I like watching that kind of style in anime. But at the end of the day, that is the story structure or story kind of style of telling a story. I said story so many times just now. But that is my favorite kind of like storytelling. It's just like I said, I ended up watching Tokusatsu before I watched anime. I'm sure that if I grew up watching anime, that role would be flipped, I'm sure. But yeah.
Even if you're just interested in checking out, no pun intended, a time capsule of Japanese television at the turn of the millennium,
I like that. That was a good
check
joke.
out Time Ranger. It's available on streaming.
Mhm.
Let me know what you think in the comments. And hey, while you're at it, isn't it about time you finally...
All right, this is the ad break, or the ad, or the sponsor, and I'm gonna let it play just because since I am watching his video and I don't own this content, at the very least, I can let his ad play. So that's the And also, while that happens,
that website idea together.
I see
This
plugs.
video
It's just gonna be Squarespace.
sponsor Squarespace.
Yep. As the Squarespace sponsor plays, I'm gonna go ahead and put the link to this original video in the chat again, so that way you can go give it its own proper view that it deserves.
has everything you need to get started. They can help you put together a beautifully designed website in no time thanks to their all-new design
Use his promo
intelligence,
code.
giving you access to easy-to-use
He
tools
deserves-
so that you can
he
build a
deserves
site
it.
that feels
This is
uniquely
his
you,
content.
no coding required. Whether you're showcasing your art, stories, or business, your vision will
So I'm
shine.
not going to skip
If you want to
the,
start your own podcast,
I mean, if I
Squarespace
was
has got
watching
you
this
covered with
without being
audio
on stream, I
blogs.
would have
Plus,
stopped
you can
watching
sell
by now,
stuff from
but-
courses to videos to music or memberships. You can get started today by going to squarespace.com and starting a free trial. Then, when you're ready to launch your site in full, head over to squarespace.com/Austin McConnell to save 10% on your first purchase of a website or domain.
And
Okay,
welcome
but
back
I'm not
to
going to
this
let this
US Open
ad play
Office
because
Planner.
I'm so tired of Grammarly. Anywho, and hey, look, now we're here on my subscription feed. You can see what I watch on YouTube. Look at all the stuff that I watch. Here's me. Wow, isn't that trippy? Wow. Anyway, no, yeah, it was fine. Like, I feel like, yeah, I mean, Falcon Stux actually said it before I even read his comment. Yeah, that was fine. What the fuck are we doing? I mean, I know what we're doing. We're being the fandom, and when there's no, especially when there's no content or toys to talk about. I mean, there are toys to talk about, but when there's no content and stuff to talk about, we complain about the stupidest shit, and that's why the fandom should never be ever given attention from mainstream people ever. No one should ever interact with us. We should, because we are insufferable. And that's including myself. I'm not saying anyone in particular is insufferable. We're all insufferable, but we're insufferable together, which maybe is better. I don't know. But guys, that was fine. That was not a bad. And no one in my chat was, like really saying it was a bad video. I'm just saying it in general. Like we talked about it. I didn't fully disagree with like all of his opinions. I didn't fully agree with all of his opinions, but I liked the video. I thought it was fine. Like, I wish that he would have done a little bit more explaining. Like, I wish he would have compared it to Time Force more. I feel like if you're gonna do a video like that, and you don't have to rewatch all of Time Force, hell, maybe not the best idea, but I would say you could even watch Linkara's History of Power Rangers Time Force, right? If you needed a he should have done some sort of refresher on Time Force before making a video like that. And I feel like he didn't. I feel like he just watched Time Ranger and based it off of his opinions of Time Force from the past. Sonic Fighters said, that's Jeremy. That's Kimberly, I think. I liked his take, was respectful for a casual viewer. People need to understand that everyone is hardcore. Exactly. You nailed it. Jeremy said, I feel like he forgot a little bit about Time Force. But that's a small nitpick. He liked both. Why are we getting mad at someone for liking both fandoms? Yeah, exactly. 100%. Someone is talking about my small corner of the world. I must riot. That sums it up pretty perfect. Pretty perfect? What? Pretty perfectly. It's like Jane is super casual Joe fan, and I try to help them and not judge their knowledge and stuff. Yeah, exactly. You got it. I mean, we were literally DMing about G.I. Joe like 5 minutes before I started the stream. Yeah, I know nothing about G.I. Joe, and I'll be honest, even with me collecting all the classified, I'm still not I'm really not that interested in checking out the cartoons. Two Joes literally just took a nosedive off the table because I grabbed this. But I love this shit. How could you not love a wrestler holding an action figure of himself? That's so fun. I don't care to see the cartoon that he's in, to be honest, and I don't really care necessarily about reading the comics. I don't really care about interacting with the media, but I do care about the figures. Ooh. And learning about the characters, even, or what? I guess I just kind of contradicted myself, but yeah, all I need is to collect the figures for G.I. Joe, and I'm learning about the franchise via that way, and I'm enjoying it in that regard. I don't feel like I need to be anything more of a fan of G.I. Joe than just collecting the figures. So yeah. Caboose said, I know jack shit about a lot of the 80s properties. I've only seen the 200 I've only seen the 200 X He-Man, but have a few. Oh, the 2000s. Okay. but I have a few He-Man sets because it looks great. Also, Caboose, I saw your DM message pop up or your Discord message. Oh, I have a lot of notifications. Okay, I can deal with that later. I saw your message pop up, and I don't think you're going too far in the chat. I think personally, just in my opinion, I don't think the chat was being too disrespectful at all, or not even too just. I don't think you guys are being disrespectful. I think you guys are actually being very civil, and I can genuinely appreciate that. I don't know if Power Ranger's still here. I hope you don't feel that people were like gaining up on you or anything for your opinion. Obviously, your opinion is not shared by a lot of other people, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I fully respect your opinion on it, and I hope that you don't take any of the chat opinions personally, because nobody has anything against you personally. But yeah, I mean, yeah, of course, I know you didn't mean any. Yeah, I mean, no, I thought you're passionate about it, and that's really cool. And I think you were completely respectful about it. I mean, like I said, I was reading the chat the entire time watching the video. So, yeah. But anywho, I wanted to go for about an hour, and I did. I did exactly that. Or almost exactly that, and that was fun. So, that was actually really fun. I should maybe do videos like that more. I feel like I'm kind of good, or more streams like this. I feel like I'm kind of good at it. To kind of just, I don't know. I like watching content like this. Like my favorite streamer, who's right here in my subscription feed. My favorite streamer is Hasanabi, and he does a lot of just like reacting to videos and yelling at chat. And also, he's bad at reacting sometimes because he'll just like get up from his chair to like take a piss and just leave the video running. So I like to do what he does, but like not as controversial in some areas, if that makes sense. But also, if you guys are curious, this is what I watch on YouTube. If anyone is curious, this is my personal subscription feed. So, you got true crime. You got true crime with PlayStation stuff, even though I've never owned a PlayStation in my life. SpongeBob, trans stuff, and occasional Toku things. There's Dawson Rider, That's how this goes. And you can see my watch history from today. Was this video, a couple Joe Hendry clips, because I was telling my sister who Joe Hendry was, and stuff like that. And this is what I was watching while I was high. I was high from like this video, the Jack Black one, up until the season 2 Zords video, and then I fell asleep. But that was last night. But anywho, with that said, thank you all so much for watching. We had like 40 people almost at one point. Of course, the video, once I was on the video, we cut the stream's like watch time in half, but our viewership in half. But thank you guys all so much. Let me know what you thought of this kind of style of video. Should I do more streams like this sometimes? Or is there enough reacting people out there? Did I do a good reaction? I hope I offered enough commentary. I mean, I would like to think so, because it took, like an hour and then 10 minutes to watch a 20-minute video. So, but that's going to do it. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm going to try to go live again this upcoming Wednesday. I'm going to kind of try to do somewhat, everyone's saying I believe in Joe Hendry in the chat, but I can't. I got to stop looking at it. I believe in Joe Hendry. I can't. Anyway, my God. I will try to go live again on Wednesday and see how we go from there. But yeah, just let me know. Also, I'm trying to like grow on Twitch a little bit more. So every one of these streams is simul streaming on Twitch. So be sure to follow me there if you'd like to. Also, I think it's really fun when streamers like have clips and stuff posted of them on social media. So like if anyone wants to like ever clip anything of my streams, that would be cool. You tag me in them, please. But anyway, that's going to do it. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend and a good week. Happy St. Patrick's Day tomorrow, if anyone's going to have fun with that. And stay safe out there. And until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey, LightningFigPR, LightLockedBroad, ClassifiedFigGI, all the nonsense. And the Twitch is the same thing as what you're watching on right now. It's just Toku Topics on Twitch. So, yeah. Goodbye, everybody. And I'll see you all later.